Welcome to Midweek Connect, where we talk about some endearing stories that are happening throughout our valley, as well as some helpful ones and tools and things that we need during this time of COVID. So today I have with me Dena Ayala, and she is a recruiter, and she has been through different downturns like we're having before in the job market. And so we're going to hear from her. And Dena, welcome. I am so thankful that you're with us today. A couple years ago, I found you, or you found me at first in church and said, hey, I have a gift that I'd like to offer up to the church in regards with recruiting and helping people find jobs. And then there was another person in the church. We've kind of partnered together. And it seems like now is the time to help our congregation and our valley get back to work. In fact, our class is called Rancho, Let's Get Back to Work. And that was a year ago we started it, and we're going to be starting a new session soon. So Dena, share a little bit about yourself and how you're here today.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's definitely a pleasure to be a part. When we spoke, I was inspired. Actually, seeing everything you guys are doing inspired me to be a part and to give my gift that God's given me, which is to be a part of the recruiting world and help people in career services. So kind of who I am, I've been in recruiting for 20 years now, and so I run a firm with my husband, and we help people find jobs, and we help employers find individuals. And with that, the best time of the whole process is helping people just hear those words, you found the job, you got it, we are able to find that job for you. And so I feel blessed to be here and be a part and give in any way I can to help people get to that place where they could confidently feel ready for the job market and then have those words, you got the job.
That is fantastic. That's super exciting, which is what we want to help people out with today. And so how did you get into the recruiting industry?
So actually, I started with a time in our life where my sister had moved home, my dad had just retired, and I had just had my first son, Seth, and so he was 3 months old, and I was at this place where I was looking for a job and trying to find my next steps. And my father made a great commitment to me and my sister and put in all his retirement funds, and we opened a business. And so we ran that successfully and placed people, and I learned everything about the recruiting industry from my sister who had been in the business for 12 years. And it was just a wonderful time in our life and a great blessing my family gave to me.
That's super exciting. And so you get to help people all over the world find jobs and land that right thing, and from different levels where they work, which is exciting. You're helping my daughter right now, which is super
amazing.
super fun. So you've been doing this for a while, and you saw what happened in 2011 or in 9/11, and then in 2009. And so now we've got a downturn again, but there's hope. And so, what can we share with people on that we're going to get through this?
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to get through this. So I did see September 11th. In fact, 2001, that whole turn even, made my family business shut down. So we personally went through it in a very dramatic way and continued on in the industry. And then 2008, 2009 really hit the employment market quite hard too, with a just turn of no jobs available. And it felt eerie at times, and it felt difficult, but then there's always that hope at the end of the tunnel, because you start to see things change and you mold and you adjust towards it, and you just go with it. Everything turned within a few years cycle. People change into looking for different jobs, they look at different ways to go about it, but there is a way to stand out, and there is a way to trump through it and move all the way through and find the next role for you.
Yeah, I remember during that time it hit us. In the last recession, and both my husband and I remade ourselves. I wasn't a pastor at that point.
Wow.
I had always desired to be a pastor. I was an educator, and I actually was working and educating people in technology and the beginning of STEM in schools. And so, but my heart was always something different. So when school programs got cut, things changed. Yeah, it was really interesting. So,
well, it's kind of the silver lining too. If we're in a career that we weren't quite happy with at this point, there is an opportunity. There's shifting, moving parts, and there's a chance for you to just reinvent, reinvigorate, get out there and see what you want to do next. But that's a really great story that you shared there. And thank goodness that you came to here, to Rancho.
Yeah. Oh, it was a God thing. It was a God thing. But I'd also done some things to get me there, and that's what I love about this class that we're talking about today.
Yeah, so much of it is going to be about helping you see all your opportunities, making sure that you know what you can do to influence your own job path, and then just walking along the path with you.
That's been really important. My husband actually has used a recruiter at different times during his life, as well as a church ministry that was helping in different areas. So it's sometimes we just need help, and it's important. And we don't know who we don't know, and so it's nice to have that. It's an incredible business that you're in, as well as a ministry here that you have. So what are some of the changes you're seeing now? I mean, COVID has hit us hard. And, I remember the first week here at church when all of a sudden we were hearing everybody was getting furloughed. And my heart sank. Oh, what does this mean? It was fearful. It was a scary time, unknown. And then as the unemployment just keeps getting higher and higher with each week, I'm just wondering, how do we get out of this? So you've seen some things now.
It is really a tough time. Emotionally, it's tough. You go through a process of trying to figure out, where's my value? What can I do? What can I look back on that I've done before and reapply now? So I have seen a lot of changes. I'll share a couple of the stats. So right now, as of 2019, this month, 2019, there's 27% less jobs. However, that doesn't mean necessarily that it's all despair. We were in an employee market, meaning employees actually had choices of jobs before. Now we're in an employer market, so it's shifted. Now there's less jobs than there is employees. So that just is a shift. We look back at what we can do, what we have done, and we just kind of figure out where we go from there. A couple other more stats I'd like to share on that too is, the shift in jobs means that some of the jobs are actually changing too. So I'm sure you've seen grocery store workers are increasing. For instance, stock clerks and order fillers are up 9% compared to last year. So, 9% is not even indicating the true amount, because a lot of people found that work without job postings being out. So places like Amazon or whatnot are increasing too, or online businesses, or businesses like Instacart, where people are driving for them. Those jobs are increasing. There's some other interesting ones too, like for instance, one job, an interpreter job for online interpreting, that could be for schooling or that could be for businesses, has gone up 1,400%. And it's insane. So there's these emerging new jobs that we just have to be aware of.
So that's if you know a foreign language.
If you know a foreign language, you're in a hot commodity now. Especially, I have children at home that we're schooling, and I want them to learn different languages. My daughter is studying Japanese. So, those jobs are increasing. So it's really about watching the trends. A couple more, the job market in California is still a pretty large market. We're at 955,000 jobs still right now. That's a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And then we look at our surrounding cities, for instance, like San Diego, Orange County, and then it's about figuring out what jobs are in those particular markets. For instance, San Diego has roughly about 10,000 employers that are under 100 employee size. So you have to think about the jobs that are in those ones. Were some of those employers impacted that we don't yet know? Were they getting government funding or loans? And how do we know if we change a career path, we're going to be secure where we go? So those are some of the factors we just have to look at and analyze as we prepare a job plan.
So my husband, when he went through the last recession, he had to kind of really remake himself. And it took a while. And it was difficult. And I was working with a young professional, because we have a young professional ministry here, saying, I know what your dream job was out of college, but let's see what's available right now. Maybe there's something new that'll become a dream job down the road. So what are you seeing in the changing market, and what do we want to share with people?
Yeah, so I think right now in the changing market, it's about keeping yourself steady with a job path. So when we first analyze in our career services, when we first analyze where you should go, it's assessing your skills, it's assessing your God-given talents, and then it's making a clear path of maybe the dream job, and then maybe also the job you could do today. So creating stepping stones. And then you go down the path of, after we've created the paths we might go through, we go down the path of knowing exactly how we get to each one. So we now know how to look for the jobs, analyze that the jobs our employers are stable, and then we start pursuing social media, networking, your church community, and ways to get to those to the applications and interviews.
I like that, the stepping stones. It's really important. It's not just you send your resume out there and boom, people start calling you. But they're stepping stones.
70% of all jobs are still being found through your network. So if you have a friend of a friend, or if you know somebody through social media that may be able to help you, that's still the route that people are getting the majority of the jobs. So it's really important up front that we do the homework to really make sure that you're going down the right path before you spend too much time going down that path. we're a community that wants to walk with you. So we're here to support you during that time. One of the things, the sermon about in between two ears, there's a big struggle about what goes on in your head during this time. There's so much self-doubt, there's so much concern. Am I worthy of this job? Am I qualified for this job? As you're analyzing that. And we're here to share you are. You're qualified, you're worthy. We'll give you the tools, resources, and the inspiration.
Yeah, I do love that. One of the things when the class was done a couple times ago, a gal was sharing that she didn't realize how important volunteer work was in building her network.
Yes.
And so she started volunteering at, I believe it was a water company or something, not your traditional where you would think, but just, hey, let me come and help. I've got some skills I want to grow. And I'd never thought about that before, that was being creative as well as volunteering at church. You build your network, which was traditional, but so
right now, volunteering is huge too. And, when it comes down to anybody that's getting into the job market right now, it's a little bit scary too. So volunteering is a fantastic opportunity. Internships are a fantastic opportunity. And just finding ways to plug in and help in some way to build that resume.
Yeah. So how can this program that we have here at Rancho, this career services that we're offering, help people find work?
Sure. So we have a program we first start with what you're looking for. Then we go into kind of searching the top 10 companies and jobs. So once you've known what path you're going to go on, then we could search into what companies that we might pursue. And then from there, it's about building your resumes, your LinkedIn presence, and moving to actually applying. Once we start applying, then we also go into interview best practices and techniques to make you kind of stand out.
Yeah, another thing that I thought was really interesting was just in the day and age, I'm older in life, and seeing how what I needed to get a job didn't even exist when I was in my 20s. And how sometimes it doesn't matter what age you are, we all need assistance and help in learning the newest tools, such as LinkedIn. I didn't realize was so powerful until recently.
Oh, and there's so many tricks in LinkedIn too. For instance, if you are interested and maybe you're a new student or maybe you're re-advising yourself on where you want to go next, you could go into groups and figure out information about different companies. You could go into groups and find a common interest with somebody else and then talk to that individual through that group. It is the best platform for any kind of online social media right now for hiring.
What do you want to share about what it is that people will be doing during the week? We have a interest list for this class that's now forming, and so it'll be virtual until we can go into big groups again, but virtually you guys have been connecting phenomenally with people. That's been really fun to see how that works. So, what does this program do to help people find work? Why would they want to join either career services outside of Rancho or be a part of the ministry that we're offering for free to help people?
Yeah, so if you're coming to learn anything about how to build a resume or coming to learn about your LinkedIn profile, we're going to touch on those subjects. If you're coming for inspiration and you just want a community around you, we're here too. We network within our own group, and then of course we help you learn how to network outside. And then if you're coming to kind of get a little edge and an advantage of how to be seen, we have actually a unique tool for you too. Actually, the job market doesn't really have too many people using this right now. It's called a digital resume. And so the very end session of the class, we're creating a digital resume for you. You could send it along with your resume, you could send it along with your profile or your applications, and then someone has a live video of you. So it gives that third dimension, that other dimension of who you are and what you really bring to the table. Yeah. And it'll spark interest for somebody who hasn't seen you yet. So we're giving extra tools the market doesn't have, and we're here for all the others.
Yeah, because we desire for everybody to be back to work, to be working in their God-given talents. And this is for people, high school level, people who are just entry-level marketplace as well as executives in the marketplace is what I've seen happening.
Absolutely. I individually have placed well over 2,000 people. I stopped counting about 6 years ago at 2,000 people in jobs, and I'm really proud of that. And it's been everyone from entry level to C-suite. So myself and the co-teacher here, Jacob, we both help people at all levels. It's not so much about the exact job, because we'll create that in your plan. It's so much about just being here for you in whatever phase that you're at and being able to help walk with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that we're able to just offer and care for people, and you're helping people out with their next steps, which I think is significant. So what's a word of encouragement you can give people as they're, sometimes it's hard to even just take the first step on that path.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I always say is it takes 40 hours to basically prep yourself to get a 40-hour job. And if you just take the time, slow it down, figure out your first steps, and then take the first step, we'll walk with you through it. And we'll take the time to help you all the way through, kind of as a coach. But it's just about doing that first step and then making sure that your time is spent the places it should be, and knowing that there is an answer, there is going to be the solution found, and you have your community here to help you.
Yeah, so say that again, 40 hours to prepare to looking for a job.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, really, it's a 40-hour work week to find your 40-hour job constantly.
Yeah.
You prep, but then you're working the whole time. But the thing is that if you take the time to do it right the first time, then you'll have the career path you want.
Yeah.
And we'll get into other pieces in the class too, like how to negotiate for your job offer. You know, there's some stats on that too. But if you don't get that extra 10% right off the bat, and then if you're making about 60, 70,000, then it's going to take you 4, 5, 6 years, depending on how your employer increases their rates per year. So just all these little things that if you haven't quite done it as a full profession, you just don't see.
Yeah.
But we'll help you. We'll help you learn how to do those negotiations. We'll help you get all the way to the finish stage. We'll help you all the way through.
Yeah, I was not strong in negotiating for sure. In fact, I didn't even really have a concept around it until later in life, and I wish that I had understand some of those tools early on with that. So that is fantastic. Well, thank you for coming here with us today. I am super excited. It is, I know, your heart to see everyone working and be building within our community here, as well as networking out, which is good. And you know, something I say often is our desires for the kingdom of heaven to be here on earth. And when we're all working together, there's just a sense of that more, that we're loving God, loving one another, and sharing our talents. So thank you. Thank you for coming in today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and I hope to help you.
You got it.
Thank you.